Hey there, champions of change. Welcome back to Prime Motivation, where we fuel your fire and ignite your potential. Today, we're diving deep into a story that'll shake you to your core and lift you higher than ever before. Our tale, You Owe You, is all about the debt we owe ourselves, the promise of becoming our best selves. Are you ready to embark on a journey of self-discovery, grit, and unstoppable determination? Then buckle up, because this story is about to change your life. Let's get started. I used to think I had it all figured out. A decent job, a comfortable routine, and then the life that seemed, well, good enough. But man, was I in for a rude awakening. It was a crisp autumn morning when my world turned upside down. I remember staring at my reflection in the bathroom mirror, barely recognizing the person looking back at me. Dark circles under my eyes, a waistline that had seen better days, and the general air of defeat that I couldn't shake off. That's when it hit me like a ton of bricks. I owed myself so much more than this. My phone buzzed, jolting me out of my self-pity party. It was my best friend, Jake. "Hey, couch potato, you up for a challenge?" His message read. I chuckled, thinking, if only he knew how right he was about the couch potato part. Little did I know, this simple text was about to be the catalyst for a life-changing journey. I met Jake at our favorite coffee shop, curious about this so-called challenge. As I sipped my usual sugar-laden latte, Jake looked at me with a mix of concern and determination. "Listen, buddy," he said, leaning in. "I've signed us up for a marathon, 6 months from now." I nearly choked on my drink. "A marathon? Are you out of your mind?" I spluttered, but Jake's eyes were ablaze with excitement. "This isn't just about running, man. It's about proving to ourselves that we're capable of so much more." His words struck a chord deep within me. Wasn't this exactly what I'd been feeling earlier? That nagging sense that I was settling for less than I deserved? Jake continued, his voice filled with inspiration. "Think about it. Every step we take in training, every mile we conquer, it's a step towards becoming the person we're meant to be. We owe it to ourselves to see what we're truly capable of." As Jake's words sank in, I felt a spark ignite inside me. It was a feeling I hadn't experienced in years, a mix of fear, excitement, and raw determination. I realized that this wasn't just about running 26.2 miles. It was about breaking free from the shackles of complacency, about challenging the status quo of my life. With a deep breath, I looked at Jake and said, "You know what? I'm in. Let's do this." And just like that, my journey of transformation began. Little did I know, this decision would test every ounce of my resilience, push me to my limits, and ultimately teach me the true meaning of you owe you. The first week of training hit me like a freight train. Every muscle in my body screamed in protest as I dragged myself out of bed at 5 a.m. for our morning runs. Jake, ever the optimist, would bound up to my door with an irritatingly chipper, "Rise and shine, marathon man." I'd grumble and stumble after him, questioning my sanity with every step. Our first run was more of a wheezing jog. We barely made it around the block before I collapsed on a nearby bench, gasping for air. Jake, barely breaking a sweat, sat beside me. "Remember," he said, patting my back, "this isn't just about the physical challenge, it's about mental toughness too." I nodded, too out of breath to respond, but his words echoed in my mind. This journey was going to demand more than just physical endurance. It required a complete shift in mindset. As the weeks progressed, I found myself battling not just against my body's limitations, but against the negative voice in my head. "You can't do this," it would whisper during particularly grueling runs. "You're not cut out for this kind of challenge." But with every step, every mile conquered, I began to fight back. "I owe myself more than giving up," I'd repeat like a mantra, pushing through the pain and self-doubt. The transformation wasn't limited to my running. I started paying attention to my diet, swapping out my beloved junk food for nutritious meals. It wasn't easy. I missed my late-night pizza binges and morning donuts. But as I fueled my body with better food, I noticed changes not just in my waistline, but in my energy levels and mood. "You're not just training for a marathon," Jake reminded me one day as we compared our healthier lunch choices. "You were training your entire lifestyle." One morning, about 2 months into our training, I had a breakthrough. As I laced up my running shoes, I caught sight of myself in the mirror. The person staring back at me wasn't the defeated, tired man I'd seen that fateful day. There was a spark in my eyes, a determination in my stance that hadn't been there before. I realized that this journey wasn't just about crossing a finish line. It was about becoming the person I'd always known I could be. With a surge of motivation, I headed out the door, ready to face whatever challenges the day would bring. The road ahead was still long and daunting, but for the first time, I truly believed I had what it took to conquer it. 4 months into our training, disaster struck. It was a crisp Saturday morning, and Jake and I were tackling our longest run yet, 18 miles. We were more than halfway through, our bodies in sync with the rhythm of our footfalls, when suddenly, a sharp pain shot through my right knee. I stumbled, barely catching myself before I hit the pavement. "You okay, buddy?" Jake's concerned voice pierced through the fog of pain. I tried to shake it off, to push through like I had so many times before, but each step sent shock waves of agony up my leg. Frustration and fear welled up inside me as the realization hit. I might have just derailed all our hard work. The next few days were a blur of doctor's appointments and physical therapy sessions. The diagnosis, a severe case of runner's knee, likely from overtraining. The doctor's words felt like a death sentence to my marathon dreams. "You need to rest. No running for at least 3 weeks." I was devastated. As I sat on my couch, ice pack on my knee, I felt the old, familiar voice of self-doubt creeping back in. "See? You weren't cut out for this. It was foolish to even try," it whispered insidiously. For a moment, I was tempted to give in, to throw in the towel and accept defeat. But then I remembered something Jake had said early in our training. The real test isn't how you perform when everything's going right. It's how you respond when things go wrong. This setback, I realized, was the true test of my commitment to myself. With renewed determination, I threw myself into my recovery. I followed the doctor's orders to the letter, did my physical therapy exercises religiously, and focused on maintaining my diet and overall fitness through low-impact exercises. Jake, true to form, was my rock through it all. He adjusted his training schedule to match my recovery, reminding me that we were in this together. As the weeks passed, I found myself growing stronger, not just physically, but mentally. I learned to listen to my body, to push myself without breaking myself. I discovered reserves of patience and resilience I never knew I had. Most importantly, I realized that setbacks weren't failures, they were opportunities for growth. The day I was cleared to run again was one of the happiest of my life. As Jake and I set out for a short, careful jog, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. For my body's ability to heal, for Jake's unwavering support, and for my own newfound strength. The marathon was now just weeks away, and while I knew it would be challenging, I was ready to face it head on, because now I understood I owed it to myself not just to start this journey, but to see it through to the end, no matter what obstacles stood in my way. The morning of the marathon dawned crisp and clear. As Jake and I stood at the starting line, surrounded by thousands of other runners, I felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. The past 6 months flashed through my mind: the early morning runs, the dietary changes, the injury, the comeback. Each step of the journey had led to this moment. "Remember," Jake said, giving my shoulder a squeeze, "this isn't about beating anyone else. It's about proving to yourself what you're capable of." I nodded, his words resonating deeply. The starting gun fired, and we were off. The first few miles flew by in a blur of adrenaline and excitement. I felt strong, confident, buoyed by the cheers of the spectators lining the streets. But as we hit the halfway mark, reality set in. My legs began to feel heavy. My breathing labored. The voice of doubt, so long silenced, began to whisper again. "You can't do this. You're not strong enough." But this time, I was ready for it. With each step, I countered the negative thoughts. "I'm strong enough. I've worked for this. I owe it to myself to finish." I thought about the person I was 6 months ago, stuck in a rut, settling for less than I deserved. That person seemed like a distant memory now. As we entered the final stretch, exhaustion threatened to overwhelm me. My muscles screamed in protest, my lungs burned. But then I saw at the finish line, beckoning in the distance. With a surge of determination, I dug deep, finding reserves of strength I didn't know I possessed. Crossing that finish line was a moment I'll never forget. As the medal was placed around my neck, I felt an overwhelming sense of pride and accomplishment. I had done it, not just completed a marathon, but transformed my entire life. In the days that followed, as the soreness faded and the reality of our achievement sank in, I reflected on the journey. It wasn't just about the physical transformation, impressive as it was. It was about the mental and emotional growth. I had learned the true meaning of resilience, the power of positive self-talk, and the importance of believing in oneself. Most importantly, I had learned the profound truth behind you owe you. We owe it to ourselves to push beyond our perceived limitations, to strive for growth and change, to become the best versions of ourselves. This marathon was just the beginning. As I looked to the future, I felt a sense of excitement and possibility. What other challenges could I tackle? What other goals could I achieve? The journey had taught me that I was capable of so much more than I had ever imagined, and as I laced up my running shoes for a recovery jog, I smiled, ready to see where this newfound strength and determination would take me next. Because now I knew the only person I truly needed to prove anything to was myself, and I owed it to myself to keep pushing, keep growing, and keep believing in the power of transformation. And there you have it, motivators, the incredible journey of self-discovery, resilience, and triumph. Remember, every step you take towards your goals is a step towards becoming the person you're meant to be. You owe it to yourself to dream big, push hard, and never ever give up. If this story lit a fire in your soul, don't let it burn out. Take action today. Set a goal, make a plan, and start your own journey of transformation. Because at the end of the day, you owe it to yourself to become the best version of you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay inspired with more stories of motivation and triumph. Share this video with someone who needs a push to start their own journey. Remember, at Prime Motivation, we believe in you, even when you might not believe in yourself. Until next time, keep pushing, keep believing, and keep remembering you owe you. This is Prime Motivation signing off. Now go out there and make your dreams a reality.